Imitated, never duplicated. DirtyKenzo Productions. Often imitated, never duplicated. DirtyKenzo Productions.
We about to get it started. Make sure y'all are hitting that like button. And we're live. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 11 of Convos. Tonight's episode will be about the supernatural, a continued conversation from Mrs. Ivy. Ivy Enrich the podcast. You'll see them in here at some point. We had this conversation on Miss Ivy's show the other night, and it's kind of conversation that could kind of go on forever. So we figured, we'd bring it back. We bring it back up tonight. Mama, I see you. Donnie, Thursday. Victor Coco, my queen, the love of my life. Donnie is in the chat too. I see all y'all. Queen Kel's dropping all of our vital information in the chat. We thank her as always. Pamela is running a little late. My co-host and sister. She messaged me earlier. She is running a little late. Told her to take her time naturally. We will get into the topic. We'll get our way there. We'll manage without her wonderful self for a little bit. Guys, also after us, ATG TV, ATG Born, my brother, he will have an interview. He did have it scheduled for 9. However, with our time, he pushed it back a little bit. And that'll be on after us. So make sure you definitely keep an eye out for that. ATG TV, interviewing Reckless Music again. If you've tuned into the other episodes, it's been really good. And I imagine that this would be the same. So once again, thank you to all the sponsors, ATG TV, Mrs. Ivy and Rich Martinez, of course. Queen Kel's, Thursday's Child, JMS, Just Me Sunshine, Pammy, my brother Vic, LFM. Those Patreon members, Nat, Haley, GMA, and of course Queen Kells. You can't beat the squad. We got the family. There's Miss Ivy right now. I do suggest you guys go check out her live. Was Sunday, I believe. I believe it was Sunday night. It was a really good conversation. It was Mrs. Ivy and Rich. It was me, Pamela, and a new brother we met the other night, Derek. Just talking about the supernatural as a whole. As you guys could see pinned with the link, it says, the panel will be open to anyone to speak on any of their supernatural experiences, anything of that nature. After the intro, you may feel free to click the link. I do want everyone to understand that, this is an open space, open thinking. I like to have our show to be the place you can go to talk about things that no one else wants to talk about because they become fights or heated debates and things of that nature. A few weeks ago, there was a panel, myself, my mom, Virginia in the chat, Pamela, my internet sister, and both of them were disagreeing with me on the points I was making. and they stated that without having to be an asshole about it, as some people do online. You know, some people do become an asshole about it. Your point is extreme, so they got to call you a fucking idiot or something along those lines. You know, but when it comes to the supernatural, it's people are iffy. Iffy is the word we'll use. I think a lot of people don't believe it until it happens to them, until they see it. But there are things that we can't explain, that humans, and just as a collective, there's things we see, things that happen that we can't explain. You know, that's why they're the supernatural. And you know, that could vary from many things. As we spoke on Miss Ivy's chat, the brother Derek, who was on the chat, was saying, you know, he remembers his past lives. As for myself, I feel I'm what you would call a sensitive. I can walk into a room and essentially feel the energy in the room, good, bad, indifferent, here or gone, so to speak. I've also had premonition in my past. Premonition, if you're not brushed up on that, basically in my case is I have a dream. Usually I spoke on this on JMS is in the house. I spoke on this on Mrs. Ivy's platform that for me, those nights where I'm having premonition, I can almost predict it's going to happen because my sleep schedule becomes so erratic where I only sleep for about 20 to 40 minutes. So basically the night would consist of falling asleep. I'm only going to give you a little bit of this because I do want to get in more as the show goes. But, you know, falling asleep and about a half hour later, you know, the dream / premonition ends. I wake up. I go back to sleep and the cycle repeats. And then, of course, you're trying to decipher your way through what is dream and what is premonition, which can be challenging. Many times I spoke on the other night, many times they don't make sense and you're trying to, you know, there could be people involved. And for an instance is, let's say, not to mention we're on Convos 11. I think we missed 1 or 2. So we're about 6 months in. But let's say I just started Convos here. I could have had a dream a month ago that I was having this conversation, saying these words. And then when I woke up, I'm like, why was I on a live? You know what I mean? Things don't make sense. And I have to, you know, calculate them, so to speak. Dawn says, bummed I missed it. We'll have to listen to the first live. Chatting up on it sounds awesome. It was really good. It was really good, Dawn. I did want to try to get you guys some videos to show, but on the same token, I didn't want. This is my only show. I don't get strikes. But hey, JMS, I did go back and rewatch Mrs. Ivy's, and I meant to say, a lot of what you were saying, it was like so spot on. The only thing I wasn't sure about was that you had said something about mescaline, and I had never really, I've never taken it. I'm not sure if maybe you meant it another way and it went over my head, but that was the one thing where I was like, I don't know if that part was right. But yeah, as Queen Kel says, being sensitive is hard, empathic as well, and that's exactly what it is. You know, an empath is someone that feels others' emotion. You know, you feel I go through it often when sad things happen on here. I feel them a little more. I was going to try to push this page in 2020. I had a whole little game plan laid out, and then the George Floyd incident happened and all the pain and anger, and it was like, I can't be funny right, no matter how hard I tried. It was like, I can't be funny right now. And it took me a while to get past that. But it's like, it wasn't so much just what we were seeing on TV. It's what I was seeing on social media of close friends who are responsible gun owners, yet they're being pushed to be afraid. And I was seeing all the sides, and it was a lot of negative energy. And for a person like me, that's hard to deal with sometimes. Negative energy, it sticks to me, you know. And just, you know, on the spectrum, positivity sticks to me as well. If I'm in a chat and we're having fun, and like King Troll's earlier, King salute my brother King Troll. He had a live. A couple brothers were on the panel. Everyone's roasting. It's Troll, and we're all roasting each other. And then it did sound at parts like people were getting serious, but then the characters broke, and everyone was laughing and saying, "Yo, y'all are good," blah blah blah. And it was just like, and King Troll even said, "Well, I ain't had fun like that in a while." And I agreed with him. I'm like, you know what? This is what we come online for. We come online to have fucking fun. Like, let's be honest, learn, to have fun, to meet people. For myself, I'm on here just to get a better understanding of people. You can make your social circles bigger through social media. And I've learned a lot on here in the time I've been on here. That's for sure. Yeah, Ma, we appreciate you listening. I know you had the kiddos. Speak of the devil.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Why you
What's up,
Casey?
Casey?
Devil, though? Why you had to use devil?
Oh, yeah, my bad. What's good with you, brother?
My bro, ain't nothing, man. Ain't nothing. I had to come through here.
Yeah, man. No, we appreciate it. I was saying, man, I when you said on your show earlier, like, man, I ain't had fun like this. And I was thinking the same thing. Like when you said it, I'm like, yo, he ain't ever lied. I enjoyed myself. Like I said, it did seem for a split second like brother might have been getting serious. And then when you made that joke and he broke character, it was like, oh, okay, he's in character, But you're right, because it's like every time we would try to do things like that, you get up there and someone gets their fucking feelings hurt, and then it just spirals out.
Yeah, I knew when he put the Jesus piece on his head. Pause.
Oh man,
okay.
Yo, I thought he had on a Mankind mask. The wrestler. It looked like a Mankind.
Yeah, I had so much fun. Oh man, like I ain't even gonna lie.
He said, "I got the Jesus piece." He came back. I had to look real close at my phone because I couldn't see it. I said, "This motherfucker put a sconce on his head."
You see, what the yelling part when we was yelling back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
I need to do that stuff. Like,
yeah, it helps you exert energy. Yeah, that gets the bullshit out.
Right. I'm a certain way. I got people who look at me a certain way, so I always gotta carry myself so I can never like let go. So I love doing that shit.
Now, yeah, you have to, you know what I mean? And I even said that the one night when I think you might have shot me. I don't remember what it was, maybe made a joke. And I said, because I'm not going to cry about it. And it's like, that is kind of what you have to aim for, especially when you're trolling. It's like, can I troll this person without them ruining the show and getting their feelings hurt? And
right.
But yeah, and I get exactly what you're saying. And that was funny. You could hear, even though you were yelling, cursing, you could tell like you were laughing still. You know what I mean? So you could tell like you were enjoying the moment.
Right.
Man, that was funny. I had a good time, man. I definitely, like I said, I just came back. I was finishing up work when you first started, so I just came back and I'm like, what's going on here? I'm gonna just panel right up. I ain't even gonna jump back in the chat. I didn't even know what was going on. Then you're like, Hassan's here. I'm like, who? Everyone's like, Murphy's going to stay when he heard Hassan. I'm like, I don't follow this brother. I don't know him at all. I said, other than people sharing him, I don't know his shit.
And nobody took it. Gotti didn't take it personal.
Yeah,
on the bar, like it was all love. But it was a good troll, man. It was a good troll.
Hey, you can't beat that. And then you put that Tommy picture up. I was dead. I was looking for him in the chat. I said, what's he in the chat? Then I said, oh, you on the clips today, King Joe. You on the clips today.
I was going. Listen, man, I was going in.
Oh, shit. I heard an echo as soon as the fucking...
No, that was your page from off my...
Oh, okay. Exile.
Oh, Lord have mercy. I'm out of here.
So I'm gonna let Exiled say what up, but then I want to ask you guys about the topic. See if you guys have any experience.
I'm just a nobody. You ain't gotta like.
Hey, I dig it. We appreciate you and no misses. You already know. But yeah, guys, have either of you ever experienced supernatural? Like I was saying, for me, it's like if a house is quote haunted, I could kind of feel it like as soon as I walk in your house. Like I've been in people's houses where I'm like, is your house on it? Well, because that's kind of how you have to say it. You don't want to say it like that because it's not technically haunted.
So
but you know what I mean?
And haunted houses?
I'll tell you what, King. I have a picture of a little girl you could see through. After that picture, that was it. I believed after that.
Transparent picture?
Hold on.
You can tell there's someone there, but you can see through her.
You know what? I love this topic. Y'all sitting here talking about this. Look, I've been to 2 houses that were haunted, and we actually took photo evidence. And literally, these people were transparent. And not only that, but their legs, their waist down was disintegrating. And so, yeah, matter of fact, I got a hilarious story about Exile, y'all.
Oh, snap.
Hold on.
Brother Rich, salute.
Hold on. So we're in the house that we own now, right? And I'm waking up in the middle of the night and I'm seeing a body of a lady, and it was light gray, and her silhouette was there, and she was swinging in front of the closet, the room that was the closet area, right? So I'm sitting here like, babe, wake up.
He was gone.
He's like, babe, get up, right? I'm not even, this is 100% shit. You know what I mean? Look, I'm trying to make this motherfucker aware, right?
Yeah, get up.
Babe, what's going on? I said, there is a woman swinging at the closet. He's like, what? I said, there is a silhouette of a woman and she's swinging. Her feet are not touching the ground. I got to go. I'm too black.
Yeah, I gotta sleep in the living room tonight.
I'm not even gonna lie. My nigga card popped up. That shit came in me as a Negro. Hell no. I'm too black for this shit. I'm out. Right? And
salute RP.
Hi, RP. And then, so mind you, as I'm sitting there and I'm telling this man this, he rolls over and he's like, man, he said, man, fuck that, babe. Let that old lady get me or some shit. I looked at him like, oh, this nigga tripping.
You said you ain't no help. Go back to sleep.
It's not even a matter of no help. I'm clear trying to get him out the room because all the ghosts, they fuck with him. They don't fuck with me. And this is the first time that, one of them is making themselves aware to me. Now, mind you, what I'm feeling something different versus what I'm seeing. What I'm seeing is somewhat freaking me out. But what I'm feeling very calm, very nurturing, almost like a grandma, kind of feel, right? So it's almost protective, but, very apprehensive as well. So I mean, I can already tell that she really ain't a threat. But once again, literally, if y'all seen the movie Nope,
I see it
right there, right?
That person is suicide.
Wow.
Okay, so I sit there and I try to wake this man up. This man rolled to the other side. So since he rolling over, I'm like, well, you know what? Fuck this shit. I'm out. So I get up. I sit there and I get dressed. So I sitting there creeping to the door, outside of where I think this thing is, swinging, because I'm literally looking at it like, okay, so there's a reason I'm seeing her feet and they ain't touching the floor. Okay, obviously I understand what's going on here. I don't know if I can say it on YouTube or not, right?
Unalived.
Right, there you go. So I sit there and walk out the room. He like, hold up, baby, where you going? I said, man, fuck this shit, bro.
I told you to get up.
And then he's like, really, you just gonna leave me here? Boy, look, I was like, bro, every man for themselves, bro. I'm literally trying to get you up.
That's because you might have felt calm and energy, but shit, once you left, I felt like, oh, this motherfucker can get me.
Exactly.
Yo, that's what it is, though. You feel like you're like, why does it feel hostile in here all of a sudden? You know what I mean? Like sometimes you can feel it. Like you feel like someone's staring at you, and then you're like, yo, the energy just shifted in here.
Well, see, every time I've come across a spirit, they've all been cool with me. I've been cool with all of them, right? Not really cool. I know, the energy, and when you can sit there and identify what the energy is, ain't nothing been bad. Ain't nothing been malicious. Ain't nothing been like that. As soon as I leave the room, and this man over here still in the room, literally, you can literally feel the energy shift so heavily. You can cut that shit with a fucking knife. And I sat there and I just be looking like, I don't know what you did.
You ever
now you were saying they were kind of translucent.
Come into a spirit.
The spirit you seen, you said they were kind of like you could kind of see through them a little bit. You had said.
Yes.
Now, see, I was saying the other night when we were having we had started the combo, but for me it was like the picture I took. I was just trying to take. I do sheetrock and paint, so I was just trying to take a picture of this hallway, but it looks like a little girl walking out the room. So I'm showing now, mind you, I take this picture and I'm like, right away, I'm like, what? It looks like a little blonde girl. You could see through her, but it looks like a little blonde girl. I'm showing everybody, my wife Kels, everybody that'll look. I'm like, look at this, look at this. So the next day, I get to the job site and I'm on the next room, and you're kind of second guessing things. I'm like, a fucking out loud, I say, a fucking ghost, kiss my ass with that bullshit. All I hear. In the front room like that, I pop my head out the door and I could see where my sanding square, the sanding block had moved. You could see where it slid. I fucking ran. I took flight. I was so freaked out. I left the house. I had to get outside the house because it was like every hair on my body stood up.
What kind of
yeah, right? What kind of Ghostbuster am I? I ran for the hills. Now, but see, I was saying the other night is I had, when we lived before we moved up here and lived in Kensington, I'd seen a ghost, but it was not transparent. Like this looked like a little girl. And I looked up the steps and I'm like, my daughter's older than that. And my niece who lives there is older than that. Who the fuck is this little girl? And as I start walking up the steps, she's, disappearing, essentially going into the floor, not translucent at all, completely physical. That was the only time I ever said like I'd see dead people as the joke, because it was like that's kind of what you get when you say, oh, I'm a sensitive. People are like, oh, you see dead people, and I'm like, I don't see shit.
Hey, hold on. There's a vehicle parked in front of my house, and my wife's looking at them crazy. Let me find out what's going on.
Oh shit!
That thing have nothing to do with supernatural.
The ghost, yeah, that's the ghost. That's the ghost. Like you telling everybody about my story, I'm gonna shoot you out.
Listen, I know. I had something like that when I was a kid, but I always count that to my imagination.
That happens a lot. I mean, we do that as adults as well. That was my imagination. Oh, I overreacted, and sometimes you're like, wait, I didn't do those things, and I still had the same outcome.
Yeah, I don't really believe in that type of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think that has to definitely hold weight. I joked of that the other night on the panel. I said, it is pretty weird for me to say I don't really believe in afterlife.
Right.
But I believe in ghosts. So it's kind of like, but I mean, for me with ghosts it's residual energy. Energy doesn't die. Your energy can't, not all of it, not all of you dies. You know what I mean? So
you saying like how we see stars that's dead already, we just seeing the energy of a person that's already dead.
Well, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but
in the sky, when you see a star shining, that's just the memory. That's
how long it took the light to get to us.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily, lines up with that as much. It's a tough one. Like I said, it's kind of why it becomes the unexplained. But it's just like I don't know. Sometimes I do believe in a heaven and hell, but on the same time, I'm like, would an all-powerful God be that petty with the things you hear about hell, or do you know what I mean? Certain things I'm like, if we're made in his image and he loves us, why would we ever go to hell in the first place? So I think hell was created by the Hellenistic, like the Greeks. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, there's always got to be, from the beginning of time, there's good and evil, dark and light. There's always those polar opposites. So people are going to go, hey, there's got to be something better than this. And then you go, well, if there's something better, the polar opposite. I think it wasn't no concept of good and evil, heaven and hell to Zoroastrian something. Zoroastrian. Okay. Yeah. Salute, Mary. No, I kind of feel, I mean, Hellenistic, it's in the fucking name.
Right.
But now, I mean, listen, I mean, think of that, though. I mean, the way the church operated in those days, I mean, shit, women weren't looked at as equals. You know what I mean? That was the craziest thing to me. When you look back, of course, when we bring this up, we're talking of how history is written. It could be all lies, so we have to take it with a grain of salt. It's his story. Exactly.
And which we got to do too. What we tend not to do is compare like history or stories to real reality, that things we seen that happen and things of that nature. So like, for instance, when I read about a flying chariot, I'm thinking it's a plane. You feel what I'm saying? I'm not thinking it's horses running through the through the sky.
Yeah, it's not a chariot that ran in the Roman Colosseum. Right. Exactly. No, I mean, I could kind of agree with that fully. And I think that's what a lot of problem is. People look at the Bible differently. Some people take every word literally. Some people believe, understand that it's kind of like a book of poems almost, in a way, where it's like you're learning life lessons, but you know what I mean? So I think some people take things way too serious.
My supernatural, but I just believe in natural, but you could call it supernatural, is I got intelligence from somewhere, and when I
spoke on that the other night, bro. That's so fucking funny you say that like that.
And when I read about it,
I said I know shit I didn't learn.
They call it the genius, the jinn, the genie.
Talk about it. Yeah, I said that the other night though. I said, yo, there's something, because I know shit I did not learn.
Death, and I know there's something after this. I didn't see no beings or anything, but I know there is an existence past this existence.
See that? I mean, your experience is where you're going to draw from naturally. From my experience, I've been what you would qualify as like on the border twice. I was in a fire, and then my stomach with the ulcer, emergency surgery, all that. But the fire, I was in a medically induced coma, the whole nine. I never they said I was basically on that middle line. I never seen the light, never seen my family members.
Your body, you still got life in your body. I was cold blue, no heart activity, no lung
activity. I got you.
Brain activity.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not getting into this one with him. No, listen.
No brain activity. That's crazy.
I'm not getting into this one with him. He told
that
me
explains why you're so retarded. Sorry, y'all. I had to get my trolling on for a second.
You forgot what page you was on.
I seen King Troll and just reacted. My bad.
Blame it on the rain.
I might not be able to articulate my words well, but be careful what my mind can format, Kenzo.
He ain't wrong though. Your mind is more powerful than people. That's supernatural as well. The abilities the mind has.
It's called the genius.
Just like if you've ever heard of The Secret, the law of attraction, it's like that shit exists. I mean, we may not be able to explain it. We've all seen karma. You know what I mean? Things of that. There's things out here that are supernatural we can't explain. There's a universal force that makes sure assholes get theirs.
Hey,
that's supernatural.
Wait a minute.
Pause. I'm really screwed here, man. I can't say assholes, dickheads, any of that.
I don't believe me supernatural. I just believe in nature. I think we don't comprehend. We can't comprehend nature, so we put super on it. But we naturally, like, we born. Us being here is a fucking miracle.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? We can't.
No, that's actually a really good point you make there. How many people call it supernatural and it's just natural? Not just nature.
Why do you think it's called supernatural? Because it feels even more real than this existence.
Yeah, it's surreal. Exactly.
I think it's because we like to glorify, like we made up supernatural. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They came up with the format of that wording.
Right.
Yo, humans are so vain. He's so right. We're so vain.
Before we called it supernatural, this shit was happening before us. So is it supernatural or is it just natural?
All you got to do is look to math and you realize how vain humans are. Humans will say we created math, but we didn't create shit. We came up with something and we're like, holy shit, it's right. Yeah, like that's what happened. We didn't come up with it.
The fact it's called supernatural, though, is because it existed before the experience, and that is the result of the experience. It felt natural, but it felt more than just natural.
Yeah.
But what does feeling natural and more than natural feel like? That's what I'm saying.
And that's a great point, because we act like the past is stupid today. We act like, oh, they couldn't have made the pyramids without aliens. You know what I mean? People naturally act like the past was stupid.
Sometimes you feel good, right? And then sometimes you feel super good.
Yeah.
Well, okay, yeah, it's partially that, but it's also partially back then we had people that were more in tune with the earth and what natural was, and they already
Yep.
understood the things that
Hmm.
we break down to think of as dimension or realms or this or that, especially whenever it comes to talking about beyond the veil and things of this nature.
Yep.
This is
Yep.
also where a
Native.
lot of their legends came from, a lot of their bedtime stories, so to speak, came from, as well as a lot of their gods, goddesses, and a lot of the things
Mm.
that they always gave ode to, and why, right? The
Right.
understand the reasonings and understandings behind certain things. So that's another reason that they called it supernatural. It was only called paranormal, which is kind of
Oh
like an
boy.
Mm.
oxymoron of the same thing. It was
Yeah.
Yeah.
only called paranormal after it had been recorded that so many other of these people are having these similar type experiences. It cannot be
Mm.
something that is just specific to either a certain type of race, a certain creed, a certain genre, a certain area, and because it's all over.
Not just that, if it's supernatural, then it's like our normal, but it's like with something different to that normal that
Hmm.
we
Actually,
Seeing water run up, like seeing
parallel.
water run up, because the
But
natural is running down.
depending on where you at, your normal is different. Everybody's normal is
It's
Mm.
comparable to our normal
Perception.
existence because on a cognitive level, all of us look at existence on a certain common level. So that realm is kind of parallel to what we're already familiar with. That's
but
why
not
it's
all
called.
of us all over the world.
no,
Just
you
all
were
of us.
talking about supernatural, not paranormal. You can't sit there and switch it up to both words,
You
fool.
said paranormal.
Because you got people who
But
walk on, you got people who walk on fire and shit like that.
Yeah.
We would think that's some supernatural shit.
well, here's the thing. Whenever it comes to that, and I love that example, like actually, it literally comes to mind over matter. Now we all heard mind over matter growing up, just don't think about it, out of sight, out of mind, various ways of
Hmm.
thinking that. But whenever you literally have mind over matter to such a level that it alters your physical,
Mm.
Mm.
that's what it is. Now, here's the thing, a lot of people can do it, but because of the conditioning of the Western civilization that has
Hmm.
been spread a bit larger and farther than the West, we'll say,
Right.
because of that, where there are now a lot of fear, a lot of fear mongering, a lot of negativity, the only thing
Mm.
that people can really process and focus on is the dark, the bad, the shady, blah, 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 right?
It's fact.
Whenever you literally take yourself out of that kind of environment, and this literally goes to a way of thinking, a way of being, a way of identifying yourself and everything as, then you can easily get to the other point. But right now, where a lot of people are, it is such a interesting and an amazing and a supernatural and a fanatical idea, because we already assume that we, once again, amongst the negative limiting beliefs, right? We
Mm.
already assume that we could never do that. That can't be mind over matter. That has to be some magic. That has to be some sorts of
Hmm.
science that we can't understand. But, whenever you break it down in a scientific way, to where it's literally mind over over matter.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's just like
Listen, the kid
exercise.
movies will tell you. Thor will tell you. In Thor, he says magic is, in our world we call it magic, in yours you call it science. Science,
Right.
magic is it. Magic is science before it becomes science. Before it becomes science, it's magic.
Right.
And it's like that's actually true to an extent. You know what I mean? To an
It's like
extent.
bodybuilding, boxing, sports. That's mind over matter. You gotta train
All
your
of
you. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to
I'll do
push
you one
past
better.
what normal people can. Hmm.
Hold on, y'all. Since we sit here and talking about Disney and stuff like this, I'll go ahead and do you one better. Am I okay? So I'm not the only one that sat there and watched that Shang-Li. What was that? That Shang.
Shang-Chi.
Was
Shang-Chi.
yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. Shang-Chi with the rings, right?
The
Oh,
12
the
rings.
12
Yeah.
ring. Okay, I seen that.
My favorite part of that whole movie was whenever he was with his auntie, and his auntie looked like she was dancing along with being able to just have self-defense. Even in
Mm.
that, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and break y'all off something with that real quick. Did y'all know that self-defense actually does not require fighting at all?
Mhm.
Mm. Yeah, true self-defense. If you look at like I'm trying to remember the martial art, but there are martial arts where that's what it is. It's you're not going to touch me. Your momentum of me move my counter, your momentum will hurt you. I won't have to touch you.
But it goes further than that. Self-defense is literally being able to take yourself out of the problem, okay, or out of the threat of a problem. Okay, so pretty much if we're going to sit there and break it down, let's say somebody got beef with you, right? And they sitting there hooting and hollering outside your house. This self-defense will be the equivalent of you being like, all right, I'm going to go in my house and close the door. Boom.
Yeah.
That's it right there, right? Yeah. We have been conditioned to sit there and think that self-defense is another form, or that we have to sit there and attack them before they have to attack us, or we have to evade their attack to attack them. No, if you are still within reach to be able to sit there and do anything to him, then you're not defending yourself. You are enacting and engaging in combat, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's only when you're back against the wall.
Exactly.
Thank you, the word. Thank you, the word. Aikido.
Even with that, a lot of people really don't even understand the premise of that whole concept where he was with his auntie and he wanted to learn what his mother was trying to teach him, and how they were literally just kind of going in a circle, and it really just seemed like even the elements behind her were lifting, and it was beautiful. You know what I mean?
It's so funny too what you brought up earlier about things being forgotten, and it's like I brought that up to Kells. We were talking about something, and I said that I said, you don't know how much. I said, they're these natives, and we'll call them natives just for the sake of argument here. But it's like they had shit that like GPS without GPS. Like they were the best trackers in history. Like, you know what I mean? It's like the things that the natives knew and could do that we don't know, because it was easier to give them smallpox on blankets and get rid of them than learn to live together. And the only other point I wanted to bring, this is something from I meant to bring up a bit ago. The past, as smart as we want to accept they may have been, and like I said, a lot nowadays it's we're smart, they were dumb, blah, blah, blah. We know they were smart because we could see the things they created. However, there was a level of idiocy. I always speak on just writing all men are created equal but owning slaves. But it even goes past that, because if you're trying to say in those days that white was a racial superiority, but the women couldn't do shit either. So no, you got to be more specific. Now you start going into race and gender at the same time. See, it's always been confused in this country. You know what I mean? So, we hate other races, but we're going to treat our women like shit too. You know, it's never made sense.
They didn't treat them as worse as.
Not as bad. No, that's why. Yeah, for sure. You're 100% right. Not even close. But that's what I'm saying. Like, let's not go to the violence of, let's talk about voting. At some point, but the thing was, you had to also serve in the military to vote.
Right. Because
that's why women weren't voting. People don't realize that.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's what people don't realize. And I mean, it's weird because it's like America, voting is a right you should fight for. But on the same token, it's like, I know myself personally speaking, I'm so jaded from politics. I wouldn't vote. If King Troll ran, I'd have to like watch every day to make sure he ain't changing, because that's how little I trust politics.
Right. Me too. Y'all never run.
Do you know what I mean? It's like King Troll's running. I know King. I've known this man for 3 years. I know how his brain, you know, but once you're in them systems, I don't know if, you know what I mean? I got to watch and make sure you're still you. You know, I can't even, you know what made me not ever want to become a president?
When you have to drop bombs on babies.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you have to live with. And they show you how old every president gets in their terms, how old they look. They said Obama's 8. He aged 20 years.
Yeah. I can't make a decision like I can't make.
When Obama came in office, my man had jet black hair. His skin was on point still. When he left office, my man had wrinkles and was gray. Michelle still looked good, but he didn't.
Yeah.
My wife got me because I was playing with my toy.
You breaking up a little bit.
So that sound kind of crazy.
Yeah, you said my wife got because I was playing with a toy. Hey, yo.
My butterfly knives. I was playing with flipping them around.
Oh, this guy. He thinks he's a fucking cholo in a 90s gang movie.
Fuck no, I'm trying to learn this.
Somebody been watching too much Falling Down.
kid shit.
You breaking up bad, Exile.
How about now?
Amos, there you go. You good? Amos says politics will be right if we vote the money out. I think, honestly, just to touch, on that quickly, I think we're too far gone. I think it would take a legit, to get what we want money out of politics, we need a full-blown revolt. I don't think there's any, you have to topple the entire system. You can't be like, all right, we're going to take money out of politics and this and that. And it's like, that shit's too far gone. We're fucking 70 years in this system already.
So how long you think America's gonna last? How many years?
I've liked them things since I was a kid, but I finally got me some, so I'm trying to learn how to use these motherfucking things. I suck with them. I've already cut my
control. I'd say even with interference, 150 more years. Without interference, it could go on forever. It's just because America was started as an idea more than a place.
There's no such country that ever went on forever.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, but I mean, we're fucking what? Almost 300 years in now.
Yeah, that's young.
China,
that's young.
China,
yeah. 300 years is not a long
time.
Oh
no, I know. I mean, shit.
You said China what?
China's been.
You gotta stop walking in circles. You're breaking up again.
I can't hear you. And when you talk about China, what are you talking about? Dynasties or the country China?
Yeah, that shit sounds horrible.
The Qin dynasty was the first to semi-unify, which later became China.
Mm-hmm.
China is not that
shit,
old.
They say that the royal family goes back 1,000 years. So I mean, yeah, 300 ain't shit.
That's what they say.
Yeah, of course. But that's what they say. Queen was the longest reigning.
Back to the BC era. China, we don't even know how old China is.
Nah, you see now, we mess up with ancient history and today's history. The places they call in China and these places is not the same places as ancient history. It's not the same places. It's not the same people.
Yeah, no, I mean they'll even tell you that when they speak of Egypt. They say old Egypt, new, and even I forget what it was before that. I'm drawing a blank. 2,000
years, China is not even the same look. Chinese people you see, that's not the same. They didn't look like that.
I mean, yeah, no, time changes things. We're talking about
the Turks took over China, the Mongols took over China,
the fucking Ottomans tried. They didn't succeed, but they were there.
So what we call in China now, that shit was created in a 1900s, just like India. They say India is real old, right?
Yeah.
But India, as we know it, is not that old because they.
It always comes to technicalities. Look at fucking Israel.
Right, because they thought this was India. So they really
Israel's in the Bible, but it's only been a state since 1948.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that's what I'm saying. That Israel that they have, what they telling us now, we don't know if that's the same Israel in the Bible. Just like they talked about India, they thought this was India over here. So they didn't know where India was. So in reality, this was India first. This was
and that's what history happens with history a lot. It's it gets blended, things get blended. I spoke on that the other day on a platform. I believe it was yours. Like the Moses story was 3 Sumerian stories put into one: a great flood, save the animals, God talked to a man.
And that's why I was telling you with the Sumerian, them people wasn't called Sumerian.
Yeah.
So
Sumer.
It could be the same. Moses, they could all be the same people. They just, now that we calling these Sumerians, these are Israelites, these are this is that, but these probably was just people and they wasn't split up like that. Like, you feel what I'm saying? So when they saying this is an Egyptian story or this is a Sumerian story, what if these are all the same people? Egyptians, Sumerians, the Israelites.
What would you say towards when they say like there has to be a supernatural element to the pyramids and things of that nature? Whether it be alien, giant.
I think it was just a more advanced civilization of human beings, and then the people who wrote about it didn't understand.
I think people underestimate the power of people too. I mean, we've spoken. Everyone always says, "Well, it was built with slave labor." Stuff's coming out now that necessarily some of these guys were like, you know, high paid, what we would call a high paid contractor. You know, they're bringing in specialists.
Right.
But that's, I think people, like I said, one, we underestimate how smart people were. And two, I think we underestimate the strength of 50,000 fucking people. You know, oh, how can they push that stone uphill? How can fucking 10 people flip a car?
Yeah. Or they could have had technology.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that's, I mean, there are common sense things that now they're believing they were wet in the sand to make mud to help it roll and things of that nature.
When you read about ancient shit, they always talk about an advanced race or something that they call gods, but these gods be having sex with humans, having babies.
Yeah.
So they must be.
Yeah, and that's what it all, nowadays it wasn't a god, it was an alien.
Right.
You know?
But it's not an alien, it was a human. Because humans have babies with humans. I never seen anything else have a baby with a human but another human. And we know throughout time that humans classify each other as non-human because they used to say we was what? Not human, right?
I mean, yeah, that's changed over history too. Yeah, there's been plenty of people they said weren't human, right?
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Well, honestly, it's because it's easier to demonize them. When Hitler came out and said, "Hey, the Jewish people are devils," it was easier to allow what was about to happen if you thought of them as devils and not just someone from a different place.
Or if somebody come and look different, like Mr. Spock. They call them Vulcans. Those could just be humans with pointy ears.
Yeah, and evolution. Yeah, and evolution they're not up to yet. That's a fact.
It's not even evolution. You got human beings. You ever seen the wolf kids? Like they human beings, but they covered all in
they had them famous kids in
right. So back in the days, the story of werewolves could have came from those type of people.
Real shit. Hey, but KT, how do you explain in ancient England the motherfuckers putting grates over graveyards because they swore the dead was rising up out the grave vampire style?
Yeah, they used to fucking like concrete people in the ground.
They even had fucking vampire killing kits. You can still buy them. They're expensive as fuck.
JMS, that's a fact. We all have 6, 7. You actually have 7 senses. 6th sense is obviously, believed to be supernatural, and the 7th sense is intuition. Like intuition is some crazy shit, like that gut feeling. Like, how does your stomach or your brain?
I thought it was the 6th sense. Retract that fucking statement, because not all of us got that sense.
What's the 6th
I think people got intuition. I just think they close it off, or they're just too ignorant to use it. Maybe.
Listen, some people don't have no sense.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Some of them are too ignorant to have.
Yeah, but see, they still have the intuition where if you're getting ready to get punched in the, you ever seen someone get snuck? They still like tense in the right way. Like they still like kind of knew it was coming there. Even when you're getting snuck, they know how to, like, you flinch like in the right direction. Man, you didn't see it coming. And I mean, a mouth breather can do that.
Have you experienced so much violence in your life, you give a fuck and you just submit to it? Either it's gonna hit me or it ain't.
You know, Barn got an interview after us, guys. Make sure you check it out. Another interview with artist Reckless. ATG TV sponsor the channel. Appreciate you.
I haven't got to that point. I ain't moving out the way of shit.
Rich said, I know a Jewish woman from Philly.
If you ain't completely successful, that karma coming back to your ass.
I mean, yeah, I said karma is one of those things that it's like, I believe in karma big time, and it's definitely supernatural. Like I said, we're talking about a force, not a physical being, not an intellectual.
I force karma's hand. Like I said, if gunshots go off, bro, I ain't moving or nothing. If one hit me, you better hope it kill me.
Oh, okay. So
but you gotta remember, karma can skip you and affect other people around you. You love your kids, your wife.
Has no deadline.
I understand that, bro. But when you fully live in a spiritual being and an avatar, fuck all that shit.
Here we go with the
That's what makes a dangerous individual, because fuck the body, fuck this life, fuck
the big blue guys.
Lord have.
Do you mean like the last Airbender?
My morals and my standards is what I stand on. Fuck everything else.
Listen, that's all you got though. Like I forget me and Kels just seen something. What the fuck was that? Oh, okay. So I went to the supermarket earlier, right? And I had the wrong bank card. So of course it gets declined. So I was like, I telling her about it, and I was like, oh, I put everything back. And she's like, oh, that's nice. And I'm like, she's like, most people wouldn't even know you canceled your order. And I'm like, I still got to live by my morals, even if I'm pissed off. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I had to put, I'm not going to leave it on the lady to do it. I'll put it back myself.
I'm gonna put it to you in this format, bro. Ain't no motherfucker been immortalized that sit there and was careful, cautious, and lived a long life.
That's a fact.
What you mean?
I mean, your motherfucking life will be limited on this earth unless you immortalize yourself.
Live carefree. He's saying like when you live that's actually the law of attraction as well. But when you live your life fearing everything, something's going to catch up to you real quick.
And you're going to hold yourself back from a whole lot too.
Yep. Now, I mean, I'm not as free as Exile. Like, oh, I hear a bullet, I fucking put my head out the door. I put my chest out.
I
don't do all that.
Bro, if I'm coming out the liquor store and I know this motherfucker ain't got beef with me and he's shooting at somebody, I ain't finna run. Because real shit, I done seen motherfuckers run into bullets. I'm not gonna react at all. It's just that motherfucker better not hit me, and if it do, I better not survive that shit.
Hey, listen,
I believe when it's your time, it's your time, man. But I ain't trying to chase it. So.
We ain't trying to rush it. We ain't trying to rush it.
Everybody got an appointed day, and regardless of what you do in situations like that, if it's your day, your ass is gone.
Ain't nothing you can do about it. Exactly.
That don't mean you shouldn't do everything possible for it not to happen. But
nowadays, people use karma different. Like they don't realize the good karma. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you're gonna get yours.
Karma's bad, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is nowadays. It's you're gonna get yours. Karma gonna get you. You know what I mean? It's like. No, karma is gonna give me bad for bad and good for good. That's what the fuck it is. Like,
see, I think we believe. I think we need these fairy tales and all of this shit because at the end of the day, we ain't nothing. Like,
no, there's answers we can't get answered. There's questions we can't get answered.
We're gonna live, we're gonna die, and then that's gonna be it. They're gonna forget about us.
No, I agree because you figure if it's not religion, people.
You know, these people lived and died that we'll never know about.
Immortalize yourself, you are gone in this realm. But
but how you gonna immortalize? You know how many people lived and
legacy
died and we don't know about them?
Legacy is how you immortalize yourself.
Bro, I'm gonna tell
you know how many people who got a legacy that we never know about?
Hey, look, I know this much, KT. I know I got one living relative. Well, not living. I got one relative that's an ancestor that lived, and they're in history books. Who?
Yeah.
Christopher Columbus.
The Duke Nuttleton. Who? To King Henry VIII, his right-hand man.
I never heard of
Nuttleton?
Great uncle.
You said Nuttleton?
Nuttleton, yes.
That's a crazy ass name.
So that person is only his legacy is only going to survive as long as this country.
He's known as the first Duke to the King of England, King Henry VIII. He slept with his sister even and got exiled.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is 2,000 years from now, we won't know.
He'll be remembered.
We don't know
now
that.
You don't know that. Look how things are looked at today. Like you just said, he slept with his sister. So the Egyptians, like King Tut, most famous pharaoh in history, his parents were brother and sister. They believe he had a clubbed foot, a cleft lip, deformities. They were all inbred back then. That you were keeping the bloodline pure. We look at it under today's eyes and we're like, yo, what the fuck? Just like I seen something the other day. It said a couple who had been together for years took a DNA and they were like second cousins maybe or something.
I've often thought that's why King Henry VIII tried to get
somebody in the chat wrote.
He was like,
somebody in the chat wrote that they
like me.
Yo, somebody wrote in the chat their parents were fourth cousins. And people were bidding on them in the chat. Oh, I wouldn't have brought that up. That's disgusting. Fourth cousins, you don't even have blood together anymore. It's like after second cousins, you're pretty much, but like fourth cousins, and it's like it was looked at differently. Saddam Hussein was married to his cousin.
What I was saying, Kenzo, is he was the Duke to the King. The King got mad, like the King wanted to sleep with his own sister when his best friend slept with her instead. The King was like, nobody sleeps with my sister but me.
That's why they put his ass on the fucking beheaded his ass, right?
Nah, he fled, bro. He fled.
Yo, y'all know the last time France used the guillotine?
When? Yesterday?
No, it's been a little bit, but it's a lot sooner than you think. It's a lot sooner than you'd think. 1979.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
That's crazy, bro. Yeah, that was the last. I don't know though, man. It's sometimes I look at the world now, and this might be a hot take, but I'm like, yo, public executions kept people in line.
Man,
they probably still doing that shit
more often, especially by firing squad for pedophiles.
Yeah, listen, I mean, I think that I always speak on that I think prison is only for sex criminals and serial killers. You know, someone gets a murder charge, there should be a different kind of prison for that. I think shit should be separated. We put too many drug addicts in jail, like that's going to fucking cure everything, and it don't. They come out and they're worse. We're making people into drug dealers. We're making people into fucking murderers just because they go to prison.
See, now real crimes, murder, rape, those things, those people could die. You know what I'm saying? But
slow death, exactly. Yeah, that's
crimes are just crimes because we are oppressed by the system. Like,
well, that's what I'm saying. You start looking into prisoners, and there's like 3 sex offenders, but there's like 35 people for minor drug offenses.
It's like how could you steal from somebody who is not theirs? How could you invade somebody's land that they don't own? Like, this shit is here for all of us. Here for all of us. It wasn't put here for certain motherfuckers. So if it's an apple tree and I'm hungry and this person say this is my yard, I can't eat that apple. Like that apple grew from the earth. That yard, that's not your yard.
I mean, and that's what people always say. You know, get off my property, and it's this is the city's property. Well, it shouldn't be. Like, what the fuck?
It's nobody's property. Like,
I think though, I spoke on this a few weeks ago. We were talking about car insurance at the time, but I spoke on this that like there's a lot of people out there that just. I don't know if they never read the Constitution or, you know what I mean? Maybe they just heard trigger points, but it's like a lot of people roll over and just like, oh, what? That's what the government's supposed to do. And it's like, no, they're not supposed to be in everything.
So you saying that that's justice if somebody's hungry.
Yeah, exactly.
But you won't let them get on your property and pick an apple. So that's
I mean, that happens every day, right? People, you know, I'm holier than thou until something they you know, look at these fucking mega churches. I just watched a short documentary the other night, and it's like these guys are out of control. They're whoring out God. I don't even believe in the guy, and I felt bad for him. But it's like your Joel Osteen's and what's this crazy motherfucker's name? I can't remember the one. But that's like even with Joel Osteen has this huge mega church in Houston. They had a fucking hurricane. The doors were locked. So it's like when you start getting into that shit, and it's all part of the capitalist fucking structure.
But you know what's funny too? The God, like the word God was applied to what we call the creator or whatever we want to call it, but that word is not that's not the proper word, because anything could be a rock, can be a god, a damn a tree bark could be a person, can be a god, you know, anybody could be. I
mean, shit, in them days they act like you could only pray in a church. You know, it was until recently that people prayed at home.
No, I'm talking about it's different gods. Like it's people, anything could be a god. Like,
I mean, yeah, realistically, whatever you put your faith into, and
so when we read it in the Bible, they applied God to so many things in the Bible. We don't know if they talking about this or that or that. We don't know. You know what I'm saying?
I ain't gonna say you're wrong.
Gods, judges. Was
the Bible got 5 Johns and 5 Pauls that are all different guys.
Right, and then John and Paul, that's not Hebrew words. John,
they're not even Hebrew words, but yeah, it's like John. You're like, who? John the Apostle? You're like, nah, this is John the plumber. Like, what the fuck?
Hey, I'll be back. I gotta go to TikTok and record some clips. My wife trolled this fool and got him all in his feels.
Nice, brother. Good work. Salute, brother. But yeah, man, that's just that. It's always the bullshit. And I think that's why, like you said, we need these things. Like, first off, there's answers there's questions we will never get answered. The meaning of life. What are we here for? How did we get here? Like, we've been looking for them our whole lives. We've been here, they say, 100,000 years. Everybody been wondering.
I got the answer for that.
Oh, shit.
What are we here for?
Yeah.
To live.
Talk about it. That's why I always tell people, you're in heaven right now, you're in hell right now. It's what you make it.
You know what the meaning of life is? To To live.
To live. That's a fact. It's so easy, right?
Yeah, it's simple, bro. I think
I said that to Kels the other day. I had heard a lyric in a Limp Bizkit song, and it's like so simple yet so profound. He said, "I'm asking for something while I'm asking for nothing," and right away my mind went to peace. Like peace, that fits peace so well. I'm asking for something, but it's really I'm asking for. I shouldn't have to ask for peace. It should be common fucking sense.
Because we make it so complicated. The actual meaning of life is to live. Like
I couldn't be put any fucking bad. It's right there in the. It's right there.
The actual purpose of life is to live. It's the actual. That's what.
But you're so right with that. Like to fill in our lives with these little things. It's like whether it could be a religion, it could be astrology. There are these little things where we're trying to answer these questions we might not get. Even psychic people who talk to psychics, and you're trying to fill that, pause. You're trying to fill that hole, that void that you don't understand. What are we here for? What is our meaning? But like you said, it's to live. I always tell everybody, like your meaning of life is legacy and love. Love the people you have in your life. Hopefully you leave a legacy behind that they remember you when you're gone.
See, you put too much into it. It's just to live.
That's it.
Some people have no love, no legacy. They just live. Man.
And you're here, you gotta live either way. That's a great point.
If you don't want to live, nigga, you can always check out.
That's a fact. That is a fact.
But I think all of these shits is distractions from us, because whoever is oppressing us to keep us population control, they have to give us all of these things to divert our attention from them ruling over us.
Yeah, for sure. It's all built on fucking lies. It falls apart.
Because we can argue over astrology and planets till we die, but when we die, whatever we believed and all that shit is gone. So it
doesn't matter.
You spend your whole life studying some shit till when you die.
See, and that's what I always said to people, like when I was first, like, I guess you would call it losing my faith, but people would say that to me, and I'd say, okay, here's a hypothetical. If I'm wrong, fucking heaven exists. That's awesome. I could just say, hey, God, forgive me. You made me this way. And because I'm baptized, by their rules, I'll be okay. But if I'm wrong, if I'm wrong, there's heaven. And if I'm right, no one wins. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, I wouldn't mind being wrong on that one. It's like, oh, you thought you knew everything. Heaven's real. It's like, cool, thanks. Yeah, hey, Jesus, can I come up in there?
At the end of the day, it don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it matters to keep people in, because some people believe if they do bad things, they're not going to get into heaven, so it prevents them from doing that shit. You know what I'm saying? But besides that, like, it's just a story to me.
I mean, listen, I believe when you kill a person, you feel weird. There's weird feeling. I never killed anybody. I've hurt people, and I know I felt bad about that. Punching people, kicking people, whatever. I never murdered someone. So it's like, I don't think you need the Bible to tell you killing's bad to feel it. I
don't know, because it's people, like I said, it's civilizations of cannibals.
It's a good point. That's facts, Amos.
And they'll get insulted. They'll get insulted if they bring you out a plate of foot and you don't want to eat it. They'll think there's something wrong with you.
What you mean you don't want these finger sandwiches?
When they said finger sandwiches, I didn't know you was gonna bring me real.
I didn't know this what y'all meant by finger food. There's a fingernail on this shit still. Bitch had her nails painted. But now you're right, and it's kind of funny in a universal kind of way when people are like, oh, they're cannibals. I'm going to go show them Christ. And then they're like, oh, no, you're going to learn their lesson before they learn yours, buddy.
And that's why, the whole Bible thing, like, people, but that's where we learn our morals. It's like people think
we live in that kind of society, though, don't we? Like
people think we was just born with these morals. No, we learned this from the Bible. Like if these people didn't believe in the Bible, we'd probably still be slaves and shit.
Right. I mean, but the Bible is also the book that had a God trying to justify slavery. You know what I mean? Well, man's word. Let's keep that.
Right.
Let's say that it might get pinned on God, but there ain't no one recorded his ass saying it. That was man, right?
You got to remember. You got to remember the word slave and Slav and all that. The Hebrews didn't have that word. You know what I'm saying? So they didn't have chattel slavery. They had servants.
Yeah, that shit didn't come until the Greeks and Romans because they had them and they rewrote it.
Right.
That's
now,
who
when we say, it was slaves in Egypt and all that, we don't know that. We don't know those was bondsmen. It's called bondsmen, bondsmaids.
In bondage, yeah. Yep.
Right. So it could be a prisoner of war. Some people's parents gave them into bondage because they couldn't take care. It's all types of different things. Some people is king, like 2 kings send their son to the opposite as a hostage to live amongst their enemies. You know what I'm saying? And learn.
Yeah, that used to happen a lot. It even happened in Game of Thrones. I know it's a TV show, but it's based off reality. And that happened on that. They defeated an army, and as I guess what you would call punishment, bending the knee, they took his son as a ward.
Right. So when we say slavery, we think about chattel, whips, slave, chattel. That's chattel slavery. That didn't happen to like the 1700s. Like,
yeah, for sure. And like I said, the Greeks and Romans were the ones rewriting it, and that's who came up with fucking slave. They're the ones that came up with the terminology and rewriting things under their terms. But as you said, it could have been called chattel, as they used to call people. Do you know what I mean? So it's like the word slave wasn't there yet.
I think they said the Ottomans or something called the Slavic people slaves first.
JMS says, question, true or not, is it wrong to follow or believe in something positive? I'd say if it's globally recognized, like universally recognized as positive, because sometimes, a white supremacist could think his side is positive. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, if the universal perception is it's a positive thing, then I would say, I wouldn't say it's wrong to follow something positive.
It's wrong to follow anything that you don't study.
Yeah.
I think people, before you follow something, you should study it first, not after you see. Some people, they study after they get into the thing. I think you should study before you get into it.
I think no matter what you're into, you shouldn't fucking force it on people. And it's not just religion. I bag on religion a lot, but vegans do the same shit. Yeah. I stopped eating meat. You're a piece of shit. I started believing God. You're a piece of, it's like, bro, like I used to have that biggest issue with born again Christians. Cause I'm like, you could have fucking been out here killing hookers. And because you got dipped in a pool, you're better than me. Get it. Like, I could never roll through life feeling like I'm better than someone. And I always take offense when I see people doing it to others.
And you see, with me, I don't think it was the Christians. It was this. I think it's the people who's in power. Like those are the people who push whatever agenda. Like at the time, it was Christian. Then now it's transgender. You know what I'm saying? Like whoever's in power, whatever agenda they push. A lot of people was gonna go with it because they feel like, the powers that be saying it's what it is, so this is what it must be.
I mean, the powers that be know motherfuckers are ignorant and they lean into it. They know, like I said, I've spoke on it with the Buffalo shooting last year. You put on CNN and it was Buffalo. I said, all right, let's see what Fox News is, the polar opposite as I spoke about. And I go over there and they were speaking on January 6th. Right. So I thought to myself, well, the everyday Fox News viewer has no idea this is going on. So when a person of color comes in and goes, they're killing our elderly in the fucking supermarkets, you're a liar. I'm a liar because you have no fucking idea it existed.
Right.
Because of your news station. And that's what it is. It's I say this, it's so funny. I would call myself a centrist. I don't feel I'm left. I don't feel I'm right. I have my morals. I'm very vocal about them, but I'm very liberal in them. I think people should be able to live their life. I've spoken on this 1 trillion times. I will support a trans person, adult. Let me be clear. There's only 2 things I'm not a huge fan of. A biological man who transitions to a woman and then competes in female sports. Yeah. That's an unfair advantage. I'm not a fan of that. And I'm not a fan of this sexualization of children. My child's a trans. My children call themselves cis, and straight. And I still don't care who they were fucking when they were 8.
Right. Right.
So if my son, his true identity is a girl, he shouldn't be worried about you. You don't have a gender till you're fucking 12.
Yeah, it's just that I don't think anybody should force anything on nobody. Like people should be able to believe. If you think you a woman or you think you a man, you can have that, but you can't make other people.
Exactly. That's how I feel. Like live your truth. If that's your truth, I'm not going to be out here. Fine, it's not mine, but I live my truth. So why wouldn't I want you to live yours? But when we're talking about rhetoric in schools. And we're talking, like I said, we're talking about my 8-year-old needs to transition. Like, why?
But you gotta remember,
they can dress however they want. Let them dress up however they feel.
You gotta remember, you're white and I'm black. Like,
yeah.
So you know the people who's in control, they're delusional from the beginning. They're delusional from the beginning. We know
what up, Pop? Now you ain't lying, calling us white and black. We're not even. We're fucking brown and peach, you blind motherfuckers.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this shit is not reality from the beginning. But we do is we go along with it instead of saying no.
Ignorance is bliss.
Exactly. Y'all crazy. So I always ask the question: is the motherfuckers who called us these things crazy, or are we crazy for believing it?
I just, it drives me nuts because I feel like it's such a catch-22 phase in society right now, where it's like you got a major group of people who don't understand trans at all, and then you got the trans people who aren't teaching. Like, that's how we learn. That's how we accept. Gays went through shit in the late 80s, early 90s. There was a lot of but they started to become socially acceptable because gay people were talking to straight people, and they were starting to realize, wow, we're the same other than who we fuck.
Right. And
so to be accepted, that's what you got to do. You can't be like, I don't understand trans people. And they're like, you fucking bigot, racist. And it's like, bro, I said I don't understand. Why can't you educate me? You attack me right away. That's one of the issues I have. It's like, experience. That's when you meet a racist person. Guess why they're racist? They don't live around nobody else.
Right.
You ain't mean a fucking white racist who I hate black guys and he lives in the hood. He lives in the white burbs with everybody the fuck else who's white. He might see one black guy in his whole life. Right. It's your experience. You get with you understand things better by being in the moment.
Right. It's true. And that's why I said that's what they do. They break things like that. And that's why we think these stories are stolen from what if it's all the same damn story just told by different motherfuckers?
and different languages. And I said that the other day, God and Allah are just two different languages. Right. Same word.
That means Dominican Republic is exactly my God. That's exactly what Allah means, my God.
Right.
Yeah, it's just in a different language. God is English.
Exactly. Okay, please, if you guys hear something in my background, I do apologize. I'm actually streaming another live real quick because I'm being paid.
No problem.
So we're gonna go ahead and continue that conversation.
There you go, Haas. I hear you now, bro.
Okay, so I would like to add like just a little rebuttal because I feel like it's some like okay, like if you don't know history or if you don't know math, you can't really argue, with someone who does know it. The best thing to do is learn from them. But let's say like for the transgender agenda, like them teaching people is how they get people on board. So like if you are against something unnatural such as that, you don't want to learn or get to know why a person is like that. But what happens is what they do is they sneak it in through your children. So what they do is say, hey, well, let's teach your children. So then your children grow up and say, hey, we've been taught that they're this way because of this, and that's why we accept it. But really, like, I don't want to know why you're a murderer. Just the fact that you murder people is good enough for me. I don't need like a intelligent, answer to explain why you've killed multiple people. Like if I know murder is wrong, then no matter what I learn from you teaching me about why you did it, it's not going to make it any more okay or acceptable. In fact, what it does is it kind of like grooms people to accept it inadvertently when they push these type of agendas in a person's face.
My fault, my brother. Real quick, Murph, I think you need to mute.
Oh shit! All right, I'll come right back up. My bad.
All right. Go ahead,
hang out for a minute. I'll be right back, yo.
All right.
But that's what I think about that. Like I don't feel like, and that's how they push it on people. They pushing it on people because, okay, instead of them saying, hey, you need to accept this. No, look, take this class on it. No, look, it's in the elementary schools. We're teaching the children. So your children gonna come home and ask questions about it, and then you're gonna be forced to accept it. That's how they get you on board. That's the manipulation. That's the elation.
Indoctrination is
okay. Wait. I have an opinion on that. If you guys would mind. See, I think with that, I mean, I agree to what Jay is saying to an extent, and I'm only saying Jay because I'm only seeing the Jay, darling. I agree to what you're saying to an extent, but with that, it kind of takes the somewhat of accountability and out of the picture. And let me explain. Yes, a lot of people can say a lot of things. A lot of people can try to sensitize you or desensitize you to a lot of things, right? At the end of the day, you were supposed to stand in your morals. You were supposed to stand on your moral ground. That means that you can explain some shit to me 15,000 different ways, but if I sit there and say it's wrong, it's wrong. It don't matter how you break it down. It don't matter how you sit there and try to make it seem like in this scenario, that scenario. At the end of the day, when you stand on your principles, you stand on your principles, right?
Right.
So
yeah, but just to play devil's advocate for both of y'all point, don't we have to understand people we're stuck here with? Like they're here. Like there's nothing we could do about that.
Why do we have to? It's like no, because it's kind of like a thing. Like, hey, we know there are certain people in our neighborhoods who do hideous things secretly, right? And I'm just not, and it's not pertaining to any specific subject, but we know people that there are people out there that do things. It doesn't mean it's gonna you're not gonna numb yourself to it. You're not gonna want to numb yourself to it by saying, hey, let me sit down and get to know why this person likes doing these wicked things. Like the lady said, you're going to say, no, it's wrong, period. I don't care what you're doing or how you're doing it or why you're doing it. It's wrong to me. So learning about it doesn't really make a difference. All that is for the people who, okay, well, all right, now that you explained it, I could kind of accept that. No, I don't care how you explain it. I don't accept it, period. And in fact, I don't want to hear about it, see it. Now what you do on your own time is you.
But
to your point with murderers, we study murderers.
Okay, well, see, here's the thing. I was actually going to bring that up, and I hope I don't trigger anybody in the comments by bringing up a very delicate type of scenario, right? So,
hey, that's what we try to have here. You're more than welcome.
Okay, so here's my scenario. Everybody wants to sit here and try to understand, or now even in the court system, they want to sit there and have like character witnesses so they can sit there and try to demonize character. And then what do they say? They want to have the intent behind whatever was being said, right? So my thing is this. Yes, as far as understanding the people here, yes, to a degree that we need to understand the people here. But back in the day, whenever we were sitting there having a lot of black folks that was sitting here and being knocked off or this or that, or sat there and told that they was murderers, they was this, and this is why they died. Nobody really asked for the intent behind that. Nobody really asked for, are they going through mental health? Nobody really gave an excuse. I really think that whenever we turned it to where now we're looking at intent, and I'm gonna give an example. Whenever them twin boys sat there and murdered their parents, and these boys was on trial, and they sat there and tried to make these kids look like the victim, and it's almost like people forgot that these kids killed their freaking parents because they wanted the money, right? They sat there.
I mean, they always do that, especially depending on what you look like. We just seen that last week with a mass murderer,
and that's
it.
So with that kind of goes to my argument. Yes, to a degree, we need to understand the people that we are around because we need to understand it in a way to self-preserve, right? But outside of that, if it's for anything else, as far as trying to persuade me or try to influence me, yeah, y'all can go ahead and keep that shit for the birds.
No, I agree with that. I don't think it has to be. I don't think us educating ourselves on the trans people or the movement, or I don't think that means you're exactly indoctrinating yourself. Just trying to understand to an extent. You know what I mean? Like to an extent.
I feel like naturally when you hear about something, you become aware, but that doesn't mean your awareness compels you to want to understand. You know what I'm saying? It's so like if I'm aware that there's a bunch of trannies out here, it doesn't mean I want to understand them. And unfortunately, I have to be aware that they're out here. Like, you know what I'm saying? But it doesn't mean I have to understand like, oh, well, what made them that way? What made this person do this? Like, just like, you said, the lady said with the children who killed their parents, like, it really, I guess it's cushion for people who want to it's like cushion for people's ears, because instead of, hey, they did this, they killed their parents aren't here no more, people want to know, well, what was the reason? Well, what good
What did the
enough
parents
reason did they
do?
have, other than, maybe their parents tried to kill them first or something? But if you're not hearing that, like, some things are just like, yo, who cares? Like, you did what you did. It doesn't matter how you were brought up, you chose to do what and the intent was there because it clearly happened. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like finding the intent from a person a lot of times with certain things is just a way to justify or excuse their actions. And, I just feel like, we got to stop doing that.
Well, okay, I understand somewhat where truth is coming from. I don't mind. I hope you don't mind if I call you truth. I understand where he's coming from to a certain extent, but I also, once again, I stand on, we have to understand certain things for our preservation, right? Like, understanding it in a way of, I would like to understand how somebody got this way, why somebody got this way, because as a parent, I want to make sure that if I can help it, my children do not go through that. So that way there is not that is not the potential outcome, right? That is, once again, self-preservation. I'm preserving my family so that my children can continue to procreate. And that way my family line and my family tree will continue years after I am no longer here, right? So that still goes back to self-preservation. If it's coming from a place of you're sitting here trying to persuade, that's completely different. But once again, that goes back to what I was saying, you have to stand on your own morals. If you can be so easily persuaded, is that the person that's trying to take advantage of you's fault? Fuck no. That is your fault because you are easily swayed. That's on you. You got to sit there and do some stuff to where, you have to have the strength to be able to dig your feet into the ground and stand on whatever it is you said.
I mean, that's actually true to an extent too, because I often bring that up to people when they speak of, like, they're saying that they're indoctrinating the children, and I'm like, okay, it's obvious it's there, but also, where is your accountability as a parent to supersede that? Make sure your kids don't say it if you feel they're too young, to talk to your children, like that's personal responsibility.
But some of these parents is indoctrinated, and they helping indoctrinate.
So that's just carrying on. Yeah,
that's a good point. I agree with that. Like, you can't blame the school system if you still choose to allow the school. Like, if something's going on with the school, you can't really blame that if you're still allowing, your children to even deal with that. Like, but the sad part is, most, like, let's just say for school, for instance, if you don't want your kids learning about like extracurricular sexual stuff and all this, becoming this and becoming that, well, the best thing to do is, you can't control the curriculum or the school board, take your children out. But most parents have been put in situations where it's like, hey, you ain't got no choice, because guess what? You got to come work for us, pay your taxes, and you got to send your kids off to the school so you could be able to work, or you ain't gonna be able to survive. And most people, they shut down right there. They shut down right there.
That's the whole shot in the foot, though, right? Like you said, it should be you're 100% right that it should be as easy as, I don't fuck with what you're teaching, I'm taking my kids out. But you can't even do that anymore, because now both parents have to work to survive.
And
before it's that, all a shot in the foot. It's all a circle, And
when I was growing up, we didn't have no choice. Like, you had to go to school. You got truants. They had truants.
Oh no, you still got that.
They're still truancy, but they're weird with it. I got in an argument with
I'm just saying.
They had 40 of us in a class.
Easier to homeschool nowadays than it was when I was a kid.
For sure, yeah, for sure. I mean, there's K-12 programs and things like that. We were in school. It's like, no, your school was still giving your parents the curriculum. The only thing if you had a good parent who was like, all right, that's enough of the bullshit, let's learn some real history today. You know what I mean? Like, you needed the parent to do that. But the parents today are just as fucked as the kids with attention spans. Yeah, who got time to teach their kids? They might miss that TikTok video. They might miss that Instagram Live, that YouTube video.
It's an invisible leash.
Hold on, y'all. I'm going to sit down and put it like this. Honestly, ever since the creation of the boob tube, for anybody who's old enough to remember, it was not a TV, it was a boob tube, okay? That big ass thing that had a little bitty ass screen, an overgrown ass box, and all this other shit, right? So from anybody that remembers the boob tube, and my mother was actually raised in the time where this shit came out. And this was the black and white version, okay? This was years before the colored shit came out, right? So even with that, my family was always sitting here letting us know, don't watch too much of that shit because honestly, it's going to poison your brain. It's going to sit there.
That's what they always said, right? It'll rot your brain. Exactly. They weren't kidding.
So
they weren't kidding.
At the end of the day, it goes back to, once again, you have to take accountability. At any time, people can get off of social media. I do it all the time.
Exactly.
At any
one
time,
click of a button.
Right. People can put their phones down. Nowadays, you got people that are sitting here acting like junkies when they're required to take their phones down. I mean, if you
a little boy just killed his mom. A little boy killed his mom because she took his phone.
What y'all seeming to forget is we know how it feels to have no social media. These people was born.
Yep.
They don't even know. They don't understand what it feels like to have no social media, YouTube. Like they don't understand.
Yeah, I think that. Listen, they knew. I think it's what Elijah was saying.
That's like when we was young and our parents. What if your parents took away your TV forever?
Yeah, your Super Nintendo.
I'm not even gonna lie, y'all. When it comes to my kids, oh no, I do them the same way I was done. Put that phone down, put that Xbox down, go outside and play. Well, we're bored. I don't care. Y'all better make up a game. Y'all better use your imagination. Y'all better do that. And the main reason I do that is because it's not that I'm really taking them away from anything educational shit. My kids like to go on creepy ass YouTube watching some random bullshit, right?
Yep.
So whenever it's that, I'm forcing my kids to use their freaking use their mind, use the part of their mind that a lot of times lays dormant the older you get, because everybody wants to go analytical versus going to a spiritual place or the creative place and things of this nature. That's
society will mock you if you're that. You're childlike. You're quote retarded or a goofball.
But if you're a 20-year-old parent, you was born you was born with social media, so you don't know nothing else either.
And a lot of times how it goes is, a lot of times, man, people can't, it's like people can't speak up for themselves and how they want their life or their children's lives to be. So like your child could go to school, right? Your child don't have a phone. And sometimes a weak, not a weak parent, but a parent that really gives in to their child could be like, man, I went to school and it was phone day and every child had a phone but me. And then a parent will feel sorry and be like, all right, I'll go get you a phone tomorrow. Instead of saying, I don't care if Tommy, Sally, Sue, Martha have a phone, you ain't get. Like when I was young, I had a VHS player in my room, right? And my friends, they had like DVD players and all that stuff. I came to my mom and I was like, man, how come we don't have Blu-ray and the DVD? And my mom was like, I don't care what they doing with their kids. In fact, shut your mouth if you talk about what they doing in their household. But nowadays, your child can tell you something and most parents are gonna, oh, okay, well, if you saw that online knows more than me, or okay, well, that's the new trend. Kids are and that's how they got it. They're making the kids adults to where the kids will stand up to their parents, just like how the Bible says. In the end days, children will start turning on their parents and standing up against their parents. In the olden days, you just didn't get that. Like there was no hopping on social media telling your business to everyone in the world how your mom or dad just smacked the stuff out of you and you feel like they're abusing you or neglecting you. No, you take that slap and you better not walk out this house and say nothing about it. But now kids feel so free. Hey, I got my phone in my pocket. As soon as I leave mom and dad, I'm texting the principal. Stuff like that.
I tell my peoples that got kids that's fathers and all that. When I was growing up, my father didn't play video games. So now, when I try to tell them about that, oh no, I need my video game. See, so now how you gonna talk about your kid? You can't even put down a video game, and you a grown ass man.
Well, see, that kind of goes back to so
man, do as I say, not as I do.
Hold on. Here's another thing that I noticed with society a lot. A lot of us always have some form of escapism, right? This can be anything from smoking, drinking, to playing the video game, to being on TikTok, hell, to even being on YouTube as we are here right now, right? I know people that will literally be on panels all day long. You literally are looking at these motherfuckers like, damn, Tommy, do you got a job? You know what I mean? Like, y'all remember Tommy from Martin? Tommy ain't had no job. Y'all remember? And literally,
right. From Martin.
What the fuck is
what
going
do you
on,
do,
right?
Tommy? What do you do for money?
Exactly. So it gets to the point where if we have adults that are in escapism so heavily because they cannot deal with their life, they cannot deal with their issues, they are all too scared to blah blah blah, right? What's up, I talk? What's good? But whenever it comes to all of this, I mean, for those specific parents, it's really hard to sit there and try to explain to your kids why they need to be able to focus, why they need to be able to go ahead and focus on a certain criteria, not all of it, because I'm still going to sit there and say there was a whole lot of criteria that we needed, that we had whenever we was growing up, like home economics, like driving, like this and that were actually a skill that you needed in life that is no longer now available to freaking kids, right? We got kids.
And that's a shame because there's a lot of shitty drivers with Uber.
But look, all I'm going to say is this. We have plenty of girls that literally, they know how to twerk off of YouTube. They got fat asses and fat titties off of YouTube. They know how to supposedly do this and do that and get all this, get all this attention, but literally cannot cook. Can't sit there and fry turkey. You can't even cook macaroni and cheese.
And the cold thing about it, you could go on YouTube instead of learn how to twerk, you can learn how to cook.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
And you got to know how to cook for yourself. Fuck a spouse. You got to know how to cook and clean for yourself.
Not with hot pockets.
Hold on.
Not when you got money.
Hold on, fellas. We always had this idea. Like, it was always told to me at a very, whenever YouTube was really popular, right? You can sit there and go on YouTube to sit there and figure out anything. If you can go on YouTube and figure out how to deal with a narcissist, why the fuck can't you go on YouTube and sit there and figure out how to cook for yourself? That's what I'm saying. Why can't you go on YouTube and figure out how to clean this? Why can't you go on YouTube and figure out how to get a house? Why can't you go on YouTube and figure out how to take care of spiders?
You can find out anything on here. Believe that. I've done it on job sites. I've seen someone how to cook crack. There's a how to cook crack video on YouTube.
Right, man, they got videos on. I mean, okay, I'm not gonna say some words because I really don't know what YouTube trigger words are, but they have everything you can find on YouTube one way or another. So you mean to sit here and tell me that y'all can't sit there and figure this shit out, but y'all forever on TikTok and YouTube making twerking videos. Y'all sitting there talking about how y'all need a 6-figure man, how y'all need this for the men. Y'all sitting here and trying to figure out, well, you know what? I'm sitting here and watching this. Okay, I'm gonna skip. Do y'all remember them videos? I'm sorry, because I'm gonna try to get back on focus, y'all. Y'all remember them videos where you would have, and I think freaking Gabriel Iglesias joked about it with his son. He sat there and said, "Dude, my son would spend hours watching on YouTube somebody else playing a video game."
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And they do. They do more than that, though. I've watched kids that they're watching like people play with action figures, and it's a grown man. Like, hey guys, like I'm like, whoa. Some things ain't worth the views, my guy.
So,
but you know what? That's how they set it up. They, think about it. If you like YouTube and the internet period has a lot of, it has a lot of positives if you look for it, but this generation of people have been taught to look for, frivolous and meaningless things that really don't, and they've been taught that those things are cool. So like these young girls who want to be grown, they've been taught that, hey, go on there, shake your little rump. You get older, you mature in that state, and you get worse because why? The parent probably isn't, caring about what they watch. They just happy they child quiet. And for two, most of these children, they looking at adults on YouTube doing this with children and approving of it. So they looking at the adults like, hey, they okay with it. How come you not okay with it, mom and dad?
Some of them looking at their own parents.
It's a very misinformed generation, and they also don't like being exposed for that misinformation. I seen somebody posted something the other day trying to pose it off as an alien, and it was literally, if you watch the Harry Potter series, when the villain Voldemort in a one part, he's like in a dream sequence, maybe he's like a small child, he's disformed basically. It's basically a fucking Hollywood prop from Harry Potter, and people were saying it was an alien. People had put up a picture of Obi-Wan Kenobi from Star Wars and said, I bet you won't say hallelujah to this picture of Jesus. And people believe it. People believe anything. With if all four of us came up here and said, hey, Queen Kels, the sky's green, she said, no, the fuck it ain't. If all four of us said, yeah, it is, these kids nowadays like, yeah, I guess it is green. I'm the type where I'm fighting to the death. Like, no, motherfucker, it ain't even aquamarine, it's blue. You know?
I mean, look, I'm one of them people that I will sit there and quickly say, look, I am not trying to sit there and tell you what it is you see. All I'm saying is do not sit there and try to, put your shit onto me. And if I'm sitting there seeing this motherfucker blue, look, you just gonna have to let me be a crazy motherfucker, because honestly, at the end of the day, that shit is blue, and that's what the fuck I'm saying.
It's called popular culture. Like that's what these kids follow.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Back in the day,
if they believe it or not.
Hold on, back in the day, they sat there and they called it the mob mentality. That's what it was.
Mob mentality is real.
It's really nowadays, in this modern day, it's not even mob mentality no more. It's called a hive mind. The internet produces that because the algorithm, once you type one thing in, it shows you a bunch, and then when you realize a bunch of your peers are watching and paying attention to the same thing, then you start to grow into that mode, and all of y'all think alike, all of y'all like the same thing, all of y'all, are following the same trend, and that's how they get you. That's how they do it. And that's why, because if you notice throughout the years, like a lot of truthful information, vital information, like especially like if someone comes and says, hey, it's better to take herbs, use natural remedies than to go somewhere and use some lab-made stuff. Well, Google fact checkers, and because it's Google, people will listen to Google say, no, that's absolutely wrong. You'll die if you don't go take this pill or this or get this surgery. And meanwhile, you go listen to that. You listen to that, and then you end up putting yourself in a worse situation, because instead of doing actual research, you go for the first answer that you get from a well-known source that could be projecting false information on you. You know what I'm saying? And that's how it happens.
It's always the misinformation, bro. You even see it. You see it when I watch a lot of podcasts, and a lot of the podcasts, they'll bring up, like, women will bring up like the wage gap. And then you're like, oh, women make 80 cents on the dollar that a man makes. And you're like, men ask for more raises. Men take jobs that women don't take. Like, you start spitting out these other facts that doesn't fully support the idea. That's where we're at nowadays. It's like, you got a headline, and that's all that matters. Like, with
a lot of people run off of false statistics now. Like,
bro, with the 6ix9ine shit, people were like, as soon as you went into a 6ix9ine conversation and said, fuck, dude, he's a rat. Street code, he lived by the street, he ratted. He'll have more money than you'll ever have. He's still a rat. He had to look over his shoulder for his whole life. Why does that point? Now they're saying he's 120 grand in debt. Wait, I thought he was richer than I'd ever be. I'm not 120 in grand.
Snitch9, and I'm sorry, but as long as, bro, look, at the end of the day, this is before this motherfucker was Snitch9, bro. You walked around looking like fucking Rainbow Break. I can't fuck with you.
You know what? I don't feel no sympathy for him. He bought it all. He knew what he was doing.
You know what kills me? When they call him a kid. Like, Tupac died at 24 years old. Like,
you know what's crazy too, King? You know what's crazy, King Troll? Someone with a sexual allegation of a minor should never be called a fucking kid. Right. This man had, even if it ain't true, he was accused of doing something with a minor. No, you calling it not us, but you calling him a kid?
That's the first case he snitched on. That's why I fucked with 6ix9ine from the beginning, because of that child shit. Even before the snitching, I couldn't understand how people was like, "Oh, his music is good." Fuck that nigga music,
bro. I couldn't understand.
I keep saying, R. Kelly's music is good.
Yep.
Right.
That shit still ain't on Spotify.
Hold on. R. Kelly's music is so motherfucking good. He's still making babies while raping babies. Somebody.
That doesn't negate the fact that that's not, that don't negate the fact of what he got charged for.
KT, whenever it came to this motherfucker, first of all, like I said, whenever he even came on the fucking scene, this motherfucker looked like Rainbow Bright. I don't know about y'all, but I don't know too many men that are gonna go around wearing motherfucking rainbow in their hair, rainbow on their teeth, looking like he ate the whole motherfucking rainbow and sat there and licked the booty crack from the ass.
I'm gonna say it like this.
Hold on, Jay. On top of the fact that, and now I'm hearing that there was an allegation with a kid, bro, with all them motherfucking colors, no fucking wonder why. That's exactly where the fuck you were trying to go. And then you snitched to get out of it. Well, I'm surprised this motherfucker wasn't dead yet. I'm surprised.
Yeah, no, I've been saying that.
Alive.
I've been saying that.
I'm sure y'all know about
from the beginning.
I'm sure y'all know about industry plants.
Yeah, for sure, Hassan. I was just getting ready to say what King Troll said, how he was rolling with feds from jump. He had to be. There's no way, there's no reality where someone, let's say he's from New York, but that doesn't matter in this, can go to Chicago, a block from O Block, and go, fuck Chief Keef, unless they're surrounded by police or feds. It don't matter if you got 80 goons out there. People are going to come shooting. Maybe not when the feds are something.
Let me ask you something, especially with the powers that be. And I mean, like all, authorities, government, whatever, alphabet agency, whatever, right?
Yeah.
They see nowadays with the internet and everything being so, I can't think of the word, but instantaneous, like they can create a platform for you. They can create this for you, fund you, kill each other, talk about this, that, and the third, and we're gonna use you as a way to bring in the people that we want, to bring them down, and that's what they do. And people don't really care to think about these things until it happens to them. Like, it's like when you grow up and you might have a friend that to you, he's never done nothing wrong to you, but the whole world, he has done something wrong to you, but you're not going to see it because you're going to be like, well, he ain't do it to me. Well, that's what most people, that's how most people, and that's how they get caught up in this web, because that's what happened with him. Yo, he was really appealing not to grown men. He was appealing to kids. That's why they put him out there and made him so big. But the greedy, some of the greedy people who they knew, okay, this kid can pave the way for these dudes who are going to use him as prey or bait to bring in money. We're going to use him as bait to bring them in. They're going to use him as bait for money, and we're going to use him as bait to bring them in. And that's how it works. That's how they set. That's how they set stuff up. You know what I'm saying?
Bro,
he definitely wasn't out here for the adults. He was to get a following of all these young kids, all these children whose parents would be like, yo, who's this dude? Oh, okay. Oh, and then other people who feel like, hey man, I could take advantage of him and he's from my area. Yeah, I'm gonna put him under my wing, and as long as he bringing the money in, I don't care what he do. How many people do you know growing up that have done that? Like, yo, I don't care what he does, he don't do nothing to me, and he always look out. I don't care if he smacked your mama and your grandma, he ain't smacked my mama and grandma. Like, that's been existing for a long time. Now they capitalizing on it because everything is so instant, and most people want instant gratification.
You see, like me, myself, like I lived a certain type of life. I know that. Like, so when I get on here and other people want me to do certain things that they might do or other people might do, I know what I need to do, and I know my life I live. So a lot of people get on here and they be like, oh, you don't do this, you don't do that, you don't do, because we're not the same. You know what I'm saying? To each his own. And that's how I keep myself protected. I got a family, I got loved one. I'm not gonna put myself and family and all of that stuff, personal stuff, in danger to prove nothing on the fucking internet to people that I don't know, don't know me.
Bro, that's when I knew this generation was different, when that shit happened with him, because it was like people started going, oh, you wouldn't do 54 years, and it was like, how about 2 years? Let's focus on that number.
But if you see, it ain't just him though. It ain't just him. If you really pay attention and look around, I mean,
Hold on, I think that
I'm
guy.
not in that
I
realm,
think
but all that stuff is
Right.
justified by people now. Now people pick and choose like who
Yep.
can do
Yep.
it, who can't. Oh well, he did it because of, and like like most people say, oh they want to know the why. So once
Mm.
people figure out the why, then they outweigh which why was more, was weighed more than the other person's why. So oh yeah, he did it because he had 8 kids to come home to. Well, he did it, but he don't have no kids. Well, we agree with the man who put someone away to get home to his 8 kids, but the one who don't got nothing to come home
Yep.
to, man, he should never did that. Like,
Should have
that's
stood
how
on that.
people operate.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
fact.
It's not moral no more. It's all about, yo, who are you to me? Are you somebody worth something? Okay, I'll let all your wickedness and slithery, if that's not a word, but all your, you slithering, I'll let that slide. But the average Joe who I don't know or whatever, or I don't favor, I'm not gonna let them slide. They're gonna be held
Yep.
accountable for all
That's what we
rules,
said. There's
codes,
no
street
accountability.
codes.
Yeah.
No
And
accountability. And that's what it is there.
people try to prove, like, people get you by trying to get you. People always try to have something to prove to nobody. Like, that's what I never got. Like, who are you trying to prove? All right, you a gangster. All right, I'm a killer. All right, but who are you trying to
Are
prove?
you trying to convince me or yourself? Yeah.
Right. Because at the end of the day, if you're a killer, man, just go kill us.
Yeah. Killers don't talk about it. They too busy killing people.
I mean, even if you talk about it. If you want to
I mean,
prove
that's
you a
the
killer,
6ix9ine
like
shit.
if you saying I'm a killer, the only way to prove that
Is to kill. That's a
right.
fact. But even with him, bro, I mean, you can't say he's not a plant. The way it works, like the kids latched onto him quick, man. I remember hearing Treyway before I knew who he was. Little white kids, Treyway, and it's like, what the fuck is that? Like, I had no clue. You know
And
what I
then
mean?
think
And then
about it like
I
this.
started to see it all. And I don't think he has good music. And I like
He was
motherfuckers who scream.
he was young, he's young, or he was young, whatever. And so the adults, and I don't know these people, these gentlemen, but I'm just, just gonna say in general, adults will take a liking to that because they see, okay, I'm older. I got some young people that's under my wing that I can kind of, make do this, get them to do this. But this kid right here has everyone following him. So if I could just get him under me, then I'll have all the rest of them. And that's how most people think. It's like they want to capitalize and monopolize, but sometimes the bait is there to set you up.
I remember no snitching fucking me over more than once on rules I didn't get or understand. Now we move in the goalpost. Like when I was a kid, it was like you said, the father at 8 or the single man. Great example. And it's like they'll start breaking that down. When I was a kid, they didn't give a fuck if you had 30 kids or no kids. You snitched. It's done. And if you're not if you live by the gun, you die by it. You have to. So that's what people go, oh, if you were looking at 55 years and they were trying to fuck your girl and kidnap you, and it's like, let's not count 55 years. Let's count 2 years that he was involved in fuck shit and continued it and made it worse.
Or they'll do stuff like this. They'll say, oh, well, that person was, just for that example, that person was facing 50 years. So what would you have done? But a person who was facing like only 10 years who does it, it's like people will pick and choose when it's okay. Like, well, I feel they was about to receive 60 years. So, but that one person who was about to receive 20, he should have never said nothing. Like, well, what is it? The principle or the moral, or is it the circumstance? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and all of those people, they took their time, like that, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I live a certain life, they live a certain life. 6ix9ine is different, so he's gonna get away with shit, and they're gonna have it's not gonna affect them the same way because they live a certain type of life that he didn't live. So for them, they should have known that, and so they didn't, and that's why I give salute to the Shotty and all of them. They took their time. They know they fucked up, and they took their time. They not complaining. They not calling 6ix9ine a rat. They not trying to look for the nigga. It's all the internet. You feel what I'm saying? They just doing their time. They saying leave that nigga alone because they know if somebody hurt that nigga, it's gonna
fall back on them.
Right. And this is what these internet niggas don't understand. But I'm not
because that's who they was after from the jump. They was never really just from the outside looking in, they was never really after him. They was after the ones that they probably been after, but never really had no full-blown proof. But this kid who was offering money and all this stuff, making them kind of vulnerable, but not vulnerable, they was able to, oh yeah, we got him now. He feeding them money. Together. Yeah, we got him.
Yeah, you gotta remember they couldn't charge them because they didn't have money. They couldn't charge them with racketeering, so they had to create a business for these people to get money because they couldn't charge them.
And that makes sense.
Yo, they're so slimy. They could be the one. They could be the ones that. Yeah. These motherfuckers are so slimy. We'll just say the alphabet boys, but they're so slimy that you could have had one agent go to Treyway and say, "Yo, why ain't y'all kidnapping this fucking punk bitch?" Then you could have somebody another agent going to him. Why are you letting them extort you? Yeah, it's so fucking. It gets so convoluted when you start looking into it. Like I said, I think that's a great point that they wanted him because, like Jim Jones, fucking Dipset. They wanted him for years. Can't get him. This motherfucker out here singing his name. Talk about him, Cardi B, fucking whoever else. It's like, oh, like you just said, those guys they can't get. Now they have that in.
See, in my hood, I'm not going to say the name and all that, but he was called the Godfather and the founder of the East Coast Bloods and all of that. This nigga was broke, but somebody in the crew had a credit card scheme, so they connected that to make it racketeering.
Wow.
This nigga had no money. You know what I'm saying? Like niggas had no
money. It don't take much for racketeering, bro. Like let's keep it a bean. If me and you and Hoff sell drugs together, that's racketeering. We could be selling weed. It's still racketeering because we're making money.
It depends on how much money you making.
Exactly. We have to be recognized as an enterprise.
Right.
But I mean,
basically, it got to be substantial. They just not gonna pin that on just like 3 people that's getting a couple dollars. Like it's got to be, substantial. Like
look how
they going for the big fin. Like they don't really care about the little tadpoles and stuff. They want and they'll even. They'll even let you, they could get you on some small stuff if they wanted to, but they'll even let you, we know this, they'll even let you continue to, go ahead, go deeper out, bring us the whole ocean. That's what we want.
Your bundle right back, go ahead.
They was watching us for like years, bro.
Yeah. Yo, you don't even believe how they're watching. I got watched and I wasn't even doing nothing. Fucking cop had a picture of me because I worked legit job with the dude.
The only thing that saved us is we
got Barn in 5 minutes, y'all. We're gonna wrap up in 5 minutes. Barn got an interview. Make sure y'all head over. The link is in the chat.
The only thing that saved us is we had somebody who worked inside like the DA office, and they know when somebody's coming through for a sealed indictment, everybody got to go in the office, and these people go and then they get the warrants, they get the indictment. You already convicted before they come get you. So we got word. Yeah, we got word. We got word that shit might have been about us, and everybody who did not believe it is still locked up to this day.
Wow. So the ones that didn't listen got caught up.
Yeah, because it wasn't a show. It was told that it might. You know what I'm saying? But me, I'm paranoid.
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah. Listen, I'm so much the same way, Control. I lived in Jersey for about 9 months, right? So I don't know what it was there. I must have, I ain't trying to toot my own horn. I'm trying to stay humble when I say my personality was electric in that town. Like the people my age just fuck with me. We had like 40 people on this corner one night. No one trapping. No one, we're just chilling. So I'm standing on the corner one night. It's just me, Kels, and my young boy that, the kid I'm giving work to. Cop pulls up and goes, "What's up, Murph?" Now, mind you, I got it tattooed on my arm, but I have my shirt. My shirt's over it. So that's why I'm like, nothing's up, man. And he's like, "Oh, all right." And he drives away. Man, I pulled my phone right out my pocket, called my brother. He was still in Philly. I'm like, yo, you got any work? I need to come back to Philly tonight.
Right. Listen, I never understood criminals who got their names tattooed on their body.
Well, all right. In my defense, I was getting my name before I was a criminal.
They didn't see that permanent, as if they didn't see that permanent thing on you on a day where you wore a T-shirt.
Yo, listen, I got my name on my body 3 times.
Or an informant then say, yeah, that's Smurf.
Yeah. Yo, I got my name on my body 3 times.
He passed me that doobie. I seen it.
Yep.
Yep.
Yo, I got Murph on my finger. I got Murphy on my stomach, and I got Murph on my arm. I told the cop just in case I forget.
I'm dead. Well, salute, man. I know y'all got to wrap it up. Let me get out of here.
Yeah. Yo, Kenzo, thank you for coming up, bro. Great conversation. Pammy couldn't make it tonight, so
it's like a continuation from King Troll with y'all. Man.
Yeah, it was. It did. It definitely
wonderful all the way through, man.
That man. Hey, hold up, man. You ain't about to walk out of here on no tough guy gangster stuff. Hold up, man. Man, just admit that you missed us and all that stuff. You talking about it was a continuation from you know.
Did I tell you I missed you, nigga?
I didn't want to say it, bro. I didn't want to say it.
No freaky.
I didn't want to say it, but that's all you had to say was, look, man, the conversation and man,
that's what I said.
Earlier, man, that's why I came in, man.
We had Aaron and his son. I was like, oh, this is like old times. Holy shit.
Now, Mr. Tough Guy, I know you missed us too. You don't gotta say
it,
man. You know what I'm saying? It's all good.
Yeah, it's good. Now, listen, it's good that people can leave for a time, come back, and 1, it be all good, and 2, to know they're good. Like they didn't leave because their life fell apart.
Hassan is good, man. He gets you to say things, without him having to,
He gets you to say. That's why me and Hassan never argued. We have that same superpower. It would just be like a fucking.
No, Murph, you talk all day. You said it all.
It's all part of my elaborate plan. Control. I'm lulling you into a false sense of security.
Yeah, you tricked me. I done been in your coat. What's this? The second time?
Second time. You feel me?
That's a YouTube censor / trigger word, man. I don't have anything for copyright purposes. Yeah. I'm just learning. Don't talk about occultic nothing. Okay, don't even talk about group.
Don't worry, my brother. We got the power of rebuke. We outnumber him up here. We're gonna rebuke your coat.
That's funny. Yeah, sorry, ain't no code. We just good friends. Ain't no code.
Only code 45.
Exactly. Just a code 45. That's I'm Billy D. Williams, my guy.
Salute to everybody, man.
Hey, I appreciate
you. Be safe and be blessed, man.
Guys. Thank you.
You already know.
Salute to the family,
all right, brother. Salute to you, man. Your family as well. Hope y'all stay blessed and always protected, man. You already know.
You already, bro. Thank you. Everybody, thank you, guys. I want to thank King Troll, Hassan, Exile One, and Miss Eliza coming up. Pammy was going to try to make it. She did tell me before she would be either late or not be able to make it. She gives her all on our show, so we don't take it personally. We love her to death. And hopefully she'll be back here next Tuesday for those who enjoy hearing Pammy. But again, thank you to King Troll, Haas, Exile, Miss Eliza, Mrs. Eliza. Y'all are the best. Everybody in the chat. We kind of steered away from Supernatural a bit, but I feel like everybody seemed to be pretty down with it. You know what I mean? So salute to you guys. One, that we can pivot and transition and for a Supernatural thing. So Barn is live, interview ATG TV with Reckless Music. I may be up there. I got about an hour left of time. So once again, you will see, we should be on Kel's Cooking with Kel's Thursday. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And then Murph at 420 Friday. We'll be right back here doing the same thing. So with that being said, I want to thank everybody, the sponsors, the Patreon members, and everyday listeners, everybody who came on the panel, my beautiful queen, my amazing mods, and of course, as I said, the sponsors I can't get more than enough love to, JMS, Pammy, Vic LFM, Barncito, ATG Barn over at ATG TV, Mrs. Ivy and Rich Martinez at The Cave. Please subscribe to all those content creators. Love y'all. We'll see you next time here on Convos, episode 11, Supernatural and Other Socially Relevant Topics. You see your boys good on the pivot. I'll see y'all over at Barnes. Appreciate y'all.
imitated, never duplicated. Dirty Kenzo Production.
Appreciate y'all. Peace.